Okay, alright. I think I have something really interesting for you guys for today. This is none other than the brand new Asus ROG Flow X13. Why is this so important? Well, let me explain. First of all, let me give a warm welcome to everyone who stumbled upon my channel. In today's video, we are going to take a look at one of the coolest laptops that I have ever seen. The ROG Flow X13 is a gaming 2-in-1 Ultrabook, which, despite its petite size, can basically run any AAA titles on the highest possible settings. But how exactly? Well, with the use of this power supply. Oh, and it's not just a normal, regular power brick. It has a bunch of ports because it functions like an external dock of some sort, and it also has a GPU inside. Well, yes, in fact it has a second GPU inside, so it will kick into action when you connect it to your laptop and will switch off the 1650 GPU that's inside the laptop itself, which itself is a great card for like travel purposes and esports titles and like playing games at normal settings. But then again, when you have to amp up your performance, well, here's your solution. Connecting this beast for your ROG Flow X13 is quite simple. Plug into the wall, stick it in the laptop, secure with the lock so you don't accidentally rip it out, and click the icon on the taskbar, then let them connect. When the LED goes from white to red, well then, you're ready to rumble. After you finish these steps, you'll be having a laptop with a new Ryzen 5000 series CPU and an RTX 3000 GPU, all with this much material. Crazy. But for now, let's focus a bit on the laptop, because in my opinion it has a pretty good design both inside and outside as well. This whole parallel line design on the back of the laptop and on the palm rest as well just looks nice in my opinion, and I have to say my favorite accent point on this laptop is this ROG logo with the disrupted lines. It just looks so good in my opinion. And since we are here, we can talk a bit about the keyboard itself. It has a nice wide backlight to it. It's like almost every other ROG keyboard, so it has a nice travel. It's cool to type and game on, at least in my opinion. It has no problems like that. And we have the 4 dedicated buttons on the top for media, volume controls, muting yourself, and obviously opening the ROG Armoury Crate application from Asus. I don't know why it has a dedicated button for that, but it has it, so yeah. Under the keyboard we have a glass surface trackpad, which is, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, trackpads that I've ever tried in any gamer laptops ever, so good job on that one. And we can just turn our attention to the other side of the clamshell and focus on the display. This panel has a 19:10 aspect ratio, 1920x1200 resolution, a 120 Hz refresh rate, and it is also a touch-sensitive IPS panel that can rotate in 360 degrees. Well, in my humble opinion, this is one of the best screens in any convertible laptop ever. Also interesting in this laptop is the port situation. On your side you can see that it has a normal regular USB and a USB Type-C port. Both of those are USB 3.1 Gen 2 ports. And also it has a side-mounted power button with a fingerprint reader inside. On the left side you can see a combo jack and a full-sized HDMI port. And something rather interesting. That is none other than the XG Mobile port, which consists from a Type-C port and a custom SATA interface that uses this funky connector. It looks quite interesting in my opinion. One thing I have to mention with this is the USB-C part of the XG Mobile connector can be used by itself, so you can charge the laptop through it or just copy files or anything. And obviously you can do the same thing with the other USB port as well, so you can charge it from either side. And yes, this laptop is charged through USB-C only. Actually, you can charge it with the dock, but it charges it via USB as well, so yeah. Oh, and since we are talking about the XG Mobile port, this is the XG Mobile dock, What a surprise. As I've told you before, it is a 3-in-1 device, so you can use it as a external dock. It has a PSU inside and also a GPU. Actually, if you just plug this into your computer and don't use the integrated software to activate the GPU inside, it will charge your laptop and use the USB-C connection to power these ports. So it can work like that. And it has 4 USB ports, a gigabit Ethernet port, and 1 HDMI and 1 display port. So it has quite a few connections. Also, it had room for a SD card reader. Nice. And to top it all off, it has a nice kickstand. So you can just prop it up and see how it works itself while you're gaming. But before we go any further, let's talk a bit about the insides of this laptop. Literally the inside, we have to go in. I'm sorry, little one. After taking apart this laptop, the first thing that jumps out to me is the humongous battery. It's actually only a 67 watt-hour unit, but since it is a 13-inch device, it looks quite large inside there, and it can power the laptop for around 6 or 7 hours if you don't push it too hard. It's a completely normal time for a laptop and a pretty good time for a gaming notebook. The second largest internal part was the cooling system, which consisted of 2 large fans and quite a few heat pipes, which heat pipes were connected to the CPU via liquid metal. Oh, and yes, gone the times of old yesteryears when we had to get Zephyrus laptops from Asus if we wanted to experience the liquid metal treatment. This year we get this with every ROG laptop as well. So that's a nice touch. And since we're in here, we cannot just overlook the cutest 1TB SSD I've ever seen. Just look at that guy. How incredibly cute is that? Also, the 16 gigs of RAM that has been soldered onto the motherboard. I mean, from the form factor, I can understand why would you do that, but this means that this computer has either a 32 or a 16 GB configuration, and you have to choose which one you will get because you don't have any flexibility on that in the future. It would be a reasonable question to ask, how strong is this guy in terms of gaming power? And obviously, if you don't use the external GPU, it has quite a comfortable performance. It runs games very well, fairly well, if I could say that. Esports titles just run perfectly, obviously. On 1650 it's no problem, but in terms of AAA games, they tend to chug a bit if you don't lower the resolution or the in-game settings a bit, maybe around to high or normal. But then again, this laptop is one of the best performers in its category by itself. Let's see how it fares with a 3070 laptop connected to it. And I do have to say that's a confusing name for a GPU. So the GPU inside is called a 3070 laptop. It is not a laptop. It's supposed to be in a laptop, but it isn't. So it has an extra level of confusion. So cool. Thank you, NVIDIA. Your naming scheme is awful. So let's see the results. The last thing I wanted to talk about is sound, both in terms of the system's overall noise and also the speakers. Well, let's talk about the speakers first. They sound okay. They sound almost as decent as a 12-inch MacBook from 2015, which is my gold standard. Everything below that is like garbage fire, and everything that reaches that level can be used for normal use. You can listen music on that, you can watch a movie on that and not burn your ears. And yeah, it's nothing crazy, it doesn't get super loud, but it gets the job done, and that's what's important. In terms of noise, when we get to the cooling side of things, when you use the laptop by itself, it can be a bit whiny, but it's nothing unbearable in my opinion. And when you connect to the external GPU, the laptop can be almost silent at times, but the external GPU has a fan inside, obviously. It would boil itself up, and it can sound like a jet engine when it really works. And for some reason, this unit sounds more like a gaming laptop than the actual gaming laptop itself. Maybe that's why it's called a 3070 laptop, because it sounds like one. Holy sh! But anyways, I think I've reached my conclusion. Overall, I could say that we have our hands, or at least I have my hand, on one of the craziest 2-in-1 laptops in the world right now. This is, I think, the world's first high refresh rate convertible gaming notebook with decent graphics inside and a magical box that basically can do anything that you want. Like, if this thing brew a coffee for me, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I hope it doesn't, because I don't drink coffee, but it didn't. It knows that I don't drink coffee. It's smart like that. But anyways, thank you so much for watching my video, and a big thanks to Asus, who just gave this laptop to me on launch day and said, "Go wild, my friend." And I did. I took apart this laptop. Actually, I don't know if I was allowed to, but I did it anyway, and they didn't say anything. So I am so grateful that they have provided me with this laptop for this review. And of course, I'm really glad that you stuck until the end. I hope you've enjoyed your stay, and if you did, I hope you will subscribe so you will see my future videos. I think I have a lot of Asus content in this channel. Not my problem, sorry. I hope I can see you in the next one, and until then, have a nice day. Sziasztok!